Words are flying out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither while they pass, they slip away across the universe. Pools of sorrow, waves of joy are drifting through my open mind, possessing and caressing me. Images of broken light, which dance before me like a million eyes, they call me on and on across the universe. Thoughts meander like a restless wind inside a letterbox. They tumble blindly as they make their way across the universe. Sounds of laughter, shades of life, are ringing through my open ears, exciting and inviting me. Limitless, undying love, which shines around me like a million suns, it calls me on and on across the universe. Yes, my friends, those are the amazing lyrics of the Beatles. That song in particular was John Lennon, who wrote that one. I just got done watching American Idol tonight, where they spotlighted Lennon McCartney songs. And I have to admit, I really enjoyed it. As you guys know, I'm a huge Beatles fan. Uh, and I just thought I'd share some of my thoughts about one of my favorite bands, maybe only second to U2, and that kind of changes on a daily basis. Uh, I always knew the Beatles, knew some of their songs. I remember in high school, a few of my friends that tried to get into the hippie thing, they got into Come Together and some of these songs, and I thought it was alright. But then I kind of went through college without any thought or knowledge of the Beatles until my last semester. I was a 4.5 year college student. I needed to stay that extra semester to get my final classes. So I moved back in the dorms to not have to sublet my apartment that I was renting. I became good friends with the guys on my floor, and they like to take part in a lot of illegal activities, if you know what I mean. And they asked me to come in their room one night when they were doing that kind of thing. I was a little drunk, so I went in there and hung out and enjoyed myself. And we listened to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It was the first time I'd ever heard that side of the Beatles. I'd only known them for She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Twist and Shout, all that stuff. This album blew me away. And when I got to the part A Day in the Life, especially that second half and then the crescendo, and I was absolutely, completely amazed. It was one of the best songs I've ever heard written. I really got into them, and for Christmas that year, I asked for and got the Blue Album, Greatest Hits. This was the second half of their career. That was all I was really interested in. And I fell in love with this collection right away. This had all the Sgt. Pepper stuff on it, all the White Album, Magical Mystery Tour, Yellow Submarine, Let It Be, Abbey Road stuff. And I just fell in love with this album. And what I did is they had a little discography in here with the whole catalog of their different songs. And I started with my favorite songs, which are from Sgt. Pepper. And I picked up Sgt. Pepper the day I got my job. A week later, a couple weeks later, I got the White Album, followed by Yellow Submarine, Magical Mystery Tour, Abbey Road, Let It Be, and then I worked backwards. Revolver, Rubber Soul, etc. It took me about a year, maybe 2 years to get their complete catalog, and I became a fan. Since then, I've been picking up as much John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Harrison Ford, and even some Ringo stuff. And they've just touched my life in ways I can't even begin to explain. And it just seems like they keep growing and growing with me. In the mid-90s, they came out, it was kind of about rediscovery. The Anthology series came out. And I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but I love the artwork. All three of these sets go together. They had re-released and kind of found, thanks to Yoko, Free as a Bird. And then later on, Real Love came out, which the Beatles kind of got together via production. And these songs were stripped down, and I kind of saw the bootleg side of the Beatles, and I just fell in love all over again. The late 90s came, the 2000s came, and they keep on. And they re-released Let It Be Naked. It was a Let It Be kind of, the original version was Phil Spectorized. This wall of sound, all the extra vocals, all this symphonic stuff. And Let It Be is kind of the Paul McCartney preferred version, just the completely stripped down naked version. And I just found this album again and again. They've been in the charts nonstop with all these re-releases and stuff, but they keep making it fresh. 2 Thanksgivings ago, they came out with Love. This is the companion piece to that Vegas show. I had the opportunity to see the Love show in Vegas this past summer, and what they did is they took all these different songs, all the tapes, and they stripped it down. One of my favorite things, they took about 8 different mixes of Strawberry Fields Forever, put it together, and then by the end of the song, they mixed together Peggy's, Penny Lane, the piano from In My Life. They would take on one song the drum beat to Tomorrow Never Knows with the lyrics to With and Without You. Just 5.1 sound, rediscovered this, and I remember listening to this for the first time, and I had this weird sensation where suddenly it smelled a lot like that dorm room when we were listening to Sgt. Pepper, if you know what I mean. It was a pretty amazing thing to rediscover them all these years later as an adult. Just this past fall, this came out, Across the Universe. Now this time these are all completely new renditions of the songs, sung by different actors, sung by Bono, and Joe Cocker does a song, but mainly it's the actors in the movie. I've been listening to that soundtrack since I bought it. I bought the soundtrack before I saw the movie. Just completely reimagined these songs. A song like Blackbird, which was so simple and so pure to begin with, they took and even stripped it down more and turned it into a ballad, even more of a ballad with this beautiful female vocalist. And what's happening is I have some friends who have young nieces or nephews that are getting into this movie. And when I was in Vegas, there were lots of children in the audience for this. I got into the Beatles back in 92, 93, 22 years after they broke up. And now tonight on American Idol, they sang the cover songs, covered the Beatles. They have been, they broke up in 71, so that's 36, 37 years now going on, 38 years, almost 40 years that this band has broken up, if my math is right. And these songs are over 40 years old, and a whole new generation can see them. And I just feel like the Beatles are my constant in life. They have always been here. Even as a little kid, I vaguely remember songs like Yellow Submarine and Octopus's Garden, and I hope and I think the songs have a power that will last for generations to come. There's something, almost a mystical quality, that you have John Lennon, very cynical, the artist, the avant-garde artist, and you have Paul McCartney, the emotional, kind of emo, if you will, and they're the yin to each other's yang, and it's absolutely amazing the way they complement each other. And a song like A Day in the Life is the prime example of the Beatles doing that. And I have one quick thing I want to share. I was really into the Beatles right after college. I bought a book explaining all of the Beatles songs, and I met Paul McCartney. And in my dream I said, "Oh my God, Mr. McCartney, it is such an honor to meet you. Your song, Eleanor Rigby, is the most amazing song ever written to this day," which I do believe. Best song ever written. I said, "It's an amazing song. You wrote it like when you were 20. How did you do it?" And Lennon or McCartney said to me, "Dude, we were high at the time." And I woke up feeling really snubbed by Paul McCartney. Sir Paul McCartney snubbed me. I've given up. I've forgiven him. I've seen him in concert 2 times. I've never seen the rest of them, so I hope to. I hope to see Ringo at least someday yet. And the love I have for these 4 lads from Liverpool, I can barely explain. It's they're here, they're there, they're everywhere. So that's all for now. Thanks for listening. Talk to you guys later. Put in some Beatles albums. All you need is love. Love is all you need. Peace.